Why small wins work better than big goals, and what that actually means. Most advice about change sounds inspiring, and then quietly stops working. We're told to think bigger, set audacious goals, dream 10x, visualize the person you want to become. And for a moment, it works. You feel it, the clarity, the momentum. You're finally going to do it. Lose the weight, build the business, become the morning person, transform your life. So you make the plan, you buy the journal, you set the intention, and then Tuesday happens. The feeling fades, the plan feels heavy, and you're back where you started. Except now, you're also wondering what's wrong with you. Because everyone else seems to be crushing their goals. Everyone else has the discipline, the drive, the transformation story. So you try again. New year, new goal. This time you'll really commit. But the pattern repeats. Big goal, initial energy, slow fade, restart. And each time you restart, the shame gets a little heavier. Because now it feels like the problem isn't the goal, it's you. You're not disciplined enough, not committed enough, not enough. Here's what that misses. Big goals don't fail because you're not trying hard enough. They fail because the brain doesn't trust intention, it trusts evidence. And when the gap between where you are and where you're trying to go feels enormous, your nervous system reads that as threat, meaning it slows you down, distracts you, and quietly resists change. Not inspiration, threat. So it does what it's designed to do. It protects you. Through avoidance, through distraction, through the quiet conviction that maybe this isn't the right time. Here's what I believe instead. Small wins compound faster than big transformations, not because they're easier, because they're believable. When you do something small and it works, your brain notices, it updates, it starts to trust that change is possible, not someday, now. Big goals say become someone else. Small wins say show up as yourself, just slightly differently. Big goals require transformation. Small wins require function. And function, the thing that actually works, the thing that actually sticks, doesn't come from forcing yourself to change everything at once. It comes from finding one small shift that makes the next thing easier. That's it. One shift, one small proof, then another. And 6 months later, you look back and realize you're not the same person, not because you forced a transformation, but because small wins quietly compounded. Let me show you what this looks like. When you're chasing a big goal, you wait for the perfect system, the right app, the right routine, the right level of motivation. You tell yourself you'll start when everything is figured out, but that day never comes because there's always one more thing to optimize. So you're constantly preparing to start, but never actually starting. Here's what happens with small wins. You don't wait for perfect. You commit to 10 minutes, just 10, no pressure beyond that. You open the document, you write one sentence. That's the win. Not the finished project, not the perfect system. One sentence. And what happens is this. Your brain stops resisting. Because 10 minutes isn't a threat, it's just 10 minutes. Sometimes you keep going, sometimes you stop, but you started. And starting consistently, without drama, builds trust. When you're operating from big goals, rest feels like quitting. You tell yourself you'll rest when you've earned it, when you've done enough, when you finally arrived. But you never arrive, so rest becomes the thing you feel guilty for needing. Here's the shift with small wins. Rest isn't a reward, it's part of the system. You work for a short, defined window, that's a win. You stop after, that's also part of it. Because small wins are finite, completable. And when effort has an edge, rest stops feeling like failure. You just rest, and then you show up again tomorrow. Big goals tie your worth to transformation. You tell yourself you'll feel good about who you are when you finally become who you're trying to be. Until then, you're in waiting mode. Small wins work differently. Your worth isn't tied to the outcome, it's tied to follow through. You said you'd show up, and you did. That builds something stronger than confidence. It builds self-trust. And when self-trust grows, you stop treating progress like a referendum on your value. Big goals are all or nothing. You're either on track or you failed. Miss one day, the streak is broken. Might as well start over Monday. Small wins are forgiving. You didn't do everything? Okay, you did something. And when something still counts, you don't spiral. You just continue. That's how consistency actually forms, not through force, through grace. Big goals tell you to believe before you've proven anything. Visualize success, act as if, convince yourself you're confident, but your brain knows when you're pretending. Small wins build confidence differently. You don't talk yourself into belief, you earn it. You show up, you follow through, you do what you said you would do, and slowly, quietly, confidence forms because it's grounded in proof. Here's the paradox. Big goals promise transformation, but they rarely deliver because transformation asks you to become someone else. Small wins promise function. One thing gets easier, then another, and months later, you look around and realize you're different, not because you forced change, but because you kept showing up to small shifts, and those shifts compounded. This channel isn't about big goals or transformation stories. It's not about 10-step systems or morning routines that will change your life. It's about one idea, one shift, one thing that made something quietly easier. Sometimes that's psychology. Sometimes it's a line from a book. Sometimes it's a small rule I started using, but it's always grounded, always specific, and always about function over feeling. You don't have to believe this yet, but if something here resonated, if it felt more honest than what you've been hearing, you're welcome here. Thanks for listening.